Hi, my name is Earl Studdard, and this is the Domino Effect.
Welcome back to the Domino Effect, a marketing playbook. I'm Kathy Redkin. I'm owner of Redkin Productions and Digital Domino. I'm so excited to have Earl Studdard with me here today. He's with North Carolina Furniture Direct from San Marcos. I about said San Antonio.
Thanks.
You are from San Marcos.
San Marcos, Texas.
Yes.
That's right.
Tell us about a little bit about your journey into this and how you got started and how many years.
Well, furniture's been a long career for me. I started back when I was in high school. When I was 16, I was working for a store in Houston called Salvage Center of Houston.
Okay.
It was a modern day Walmart. It was housewares, groceries, and furniture. Really cool place to work because every day we had no idea what was coming in because we bought closeouts and damaged goods and that kind of, a lot of fun.
You were Hung Goods before Hung Goods was popular.
That's
right.
And we were the outlet store before outlets even knew what they were.
Yeah.
But that evolved into me working there through college. My freshman year at Texas State, which was Southwest Texas in 1978. I was offered a job by the fellows that owned the store in Houston. They were going to build a store for me. So when I was a freshman, I knew what I was going to be doing when I graduated from college in 81. So that was really cool.
Yeah, and that's unusual.
Yeah, and so I got out. I went back to work in full-time. I ran their largest store for a couple of years, and then unfortunately we got hit by the oil bust in Houston, and I had to leave in 83, and I did a couple of odd things in the furniture world, and then I decided to open my own thing doing distributing. Selling to design trade and wholesale. And then in the mid-90s, I said, we've got such a great company here, but we're so dependent upon others to make our living. I really would like to get into the retail business, but where? Because getting in the retail business in Houston was really not an option. So started looking around and finding large growth areas, and San Marcos was at the top of the charts on everybody's forecast for the next 25 years. Mm-hmm. So we did a lot of background checking and looking at real estate, and had a couple of deals fall through, found the magic spot, and we bought it in 96 and built it in 97. Been there ever since.
And the cool thing is you are right between San Antonio and Austin, so you get both worlds. And you're on I-35, so you're super conveniently located.
There's a couple 100,000 people that buzz the store on a daily basis, and some of them are going faster than the speed of light. But we're on the interstate.
But you're rebranding them every time. Yes, you've got a big electronic billboard that's just flashing, and you got a lot of signage, and you're super convenient. You're right off the exit.
I am. We were fortunate they built a shopping mall just south of us. About 8 years ago. And in doing that, they paid for the state to put an exit just before the store. The LED sign in front of the store is an amazing tool, and anybody who's on the interstate that has the ability to have an LED billboard, it is the best option in the world to put your message out there.
Oh, for sure.
And different messages.
Oh, yeah. And you can change it daily. I know we do. I think our last one, we did 9 billboard options for it. So
and the other great thing about the LED sign is you can do all kinds of community announcements too. We've had the unfortunate rally of a couple of police officers getting killed in the line of duty in the San Marcos area over the last 25 years. Mm-hmm. So I pay tribute to them every year. One of them I went to high school with, Ken Copeland, in Houston. We graduated the same year. Mm-hmm. And, and their families really appreciate that recognition. Every year we'd run it for a week and put their image up, and I had 2 police officers from San Marcos come by yesterday and thanks.
I know we've done a billboard for you just recently on something with first responders, and I appreciate that. I know you're a proud American. You love your first responders and the U.S., and I think that's part of your story, is a lot of your store is U.S. based. Tell me this, North Carolina. Tell how that happened.
Where'd I get the next?
Where's this from?
Well, there's
tell how that happened.
There's a long version and a short version. I'm gonna do the short version.
Okay, let's do the short.
The reason why we did it was San Marcos is home and still is to the largest outlet mall in the country. And I knew if I came to San Marcos and called it stuttered furniture, they go, who in the world is that? But in the 90s, probably 100%, 90% of the furniture made was from North Carolina. So I wanted a factory outlet sounding name and one that didn't have my last name up there. So if I ever decided to leave, I wouldn't have to worry about what's going to happen next. And so it worked out really well. And, but now, it's hard to say North Carolina Furniture Direct because most of the goods that so many people sell today are from other countries.
Right.
We try to buy as much American-made stuff as we can, and about 40% of our mix is American-made, which that's not done very often in retail today.
I love that. One of the things you've been doing this for 30 years?
The store opened on November the 1st in 1997. And so this is going on our 28th year.
It's 28th year. And your store's pretty big. What's your square footage?
It started when I built it in 97. It was 34,000 square feet.
Okay.
And we added a warehouse behind it in 2004. And so now I'm a combined 74,000 feet, and 100% of it's air conditioned. So I'm one of the few furniture stores that has a 100% air conditioned facility. And we sell a lot of solid wood. And that's real important, solid wood, to keep it stable.
Right.
Because if you've got it in a 100-degree warehouse, it will split and open up and just give you all kinds of service nightmares if you're not careful.
Speaking of that service, when I visited there before, that was what was so impressive, is that you keep a lot of the inventory there, which is really amazing, because most stores now, when you go in and you buy, you wait weeks and weeks and weeks to get it. You keep it, which is, I'm sure, financially, that's a huge thing, but you keep it on there just from the customer service standpoint. Tell me a little bit about that, because that's such an unusual concept these days.
There's a guy in Houston that made that concept very, very popular for a long, long time. I did invent it, but I sure execute it well. We like to ask people, and I train my salespeople to ask the question, what's the occasion? Because when you go to shop for furniture, there's usually an occasion that drives the need.
Okay.
And so it's either a wedding, it's a divorce, it's they moved here. There's some kind of event that prompted the furniture purchase.
Okay.
And so what we're trying to do is say, okay, you're here shopping for an event, whatever that event in your life is, and what can we do to solve it? Well, some people, if it's a tragic situation or a moving, they don't have 8 to 10 weeks to wait for new stuff. They need it today. And so we have that option. We can either custom order it, or we can show you what we have and put it in your house next day.
So the things that you can do by today, we deliver tomorrow. That is
We'll even do it today.
that's crazy.
Yeah, you get it.
So if I come in, I was gonna say, if I came in at 6, is that still gonna?
No, well, we'll give it to you that day. I know if you want to take it home, if you feel strong enough to lift that 400-pound recliner, we're good.
We'll do it. Okay. But the custom, you also have custom, where you can come and pick your own material and you can mix and match. And so tell me a little bit about that aspect of it.
On the custom side of things, that's where the American companies come into play.
Okay.
When there's no such thing as customizing things from China or Vietnam or Malaysia or India, any of those foreign entities. Number one, it takes way too long. Number two, they're not set up for that. And so some of our furniture lines that are really, really good at that are Craftsmaster, which is out of North Carolina. Smith Brothers out of Indiana. They're out of Indiana,
Okay.
near Fort Wayne. And then Maven is just on the other side in Ohio. And they specialize in custom-made stuff. So you tell them what finish, what style fabric, what style leg, and 8 weeks later, here it comes, or less.
Right.
And so that's the beauty of not having to settle on what I bought,
Right.
from a store. If you have a specific need and your size requirement's different than what we're showing, you got a solution.
Right. I love that. I love that. Well, let's talk a little bit about marketing, because that's kind of why you're here. So you've done marketing for years. When you and I started talking, you've done radio, TV. In fact, right before we started, they were talking about the TV commercials.
Right.
You had done some digital as well, print, billboards, and a lot of that direct mail. A lot of that you still do. You still do a lot of traditional, but you've also moved into the digital realm. So tell me, just from 30 years of doing this, I can tell you, I've been doing this 33 years. It has changed drastically of how we market. So how has it changed how do you see what's happened? What's been the trend in the furniture area?
Well, when we started, we bought radio and we were using radio to drive the business. We had remotes every Saturday and we were pretty successful in those. And the advertising firm that I used was a firm that did my cousin's car dealerships in the San Antonio area. And they were car dealerships at the time were very successful with remotes. You drive people there. But furniture is something visual, so you need to be able to see that. Because everybody knows what an F-150 looks like, but maybe not what a sofa looks like, because that's a pretty broad term.
Right.
And so what we did was try to experiment with radio. Then we got into TV, and then I did my own TV for quite a long time. And eventually I said, Earl, you need to get somebody a little more professional sounding maybe, because I was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. We were setting tables on fire and driving trucks over chairs to show how strong they were. It was fun.
Even when that was what we did in the 80s.
And it was cool. Yeah, but it sold furniture. But eventually you get older and wiser and go, you know what? Maybe it's time to let the pros do it. And so I kind of shifted away from that, just stood back and gave them the ideas what I wanted to run. And then that's how we did our TV for the next 15 years. And nowadays, if we come to today's terms, one of the problems with television is it's so diverse. How many satellite companies? And so the diversification is just too broad for a one store outlet like I am to say, okay, you need to buy 32 radio stations, 5 networks, because we're not only buying Austin media, we're buying San Antonio media because San Marcos doesn't have any TV or radio. So you have to buy either one, and we chose to buy both.
Right.
The reason I came to you was trying to figure out a way that we could target our ads and knock on the door of people that are shopping for furniture. Because let's face it, when you're at home watching a football game, not everybody's there shopping for a new car. So you're paying attention to that if you are, but the car guys are spending a lot of money doing that. Well, if you're in the mood for furniture or market for furniture, then we need to knock on your door, but we need to do it politely and non-intrusively, but suggestively.
Right.
And I think that's where you come into play for us is, we knock on the people's doors that visit our websites or that are shopping on Google for furniture, because that's one thing we learned and that's the biggest trend change. So if you're sitting at home, it's like, no, honey, I think that sofa finally has had its last day. What do you do first? And most people open up their laptop, open up their computer and dig. They're searching, furniture stores, and then becomes style, and then it becomes price, and then the rest, hopefully it ends up being a visit.
Which is where we took you on the digital. We're still doing traditional for you. So we're doing your postcards, which we're putting into, we've bought new homeowners, we've bought geographical location around you. We've also used your existing customers because those are always your best customers or your past customers. We also, with you, are doing geofencing, which that is a term that is so loosely used in our industry. However, how we use geofencing is we are serving, if you think of geofencing as you're serving ads into the phone, or into the computer, and then you think of location listening as you're pulling IPs out. So we're doing geofencing where we're actually buying 100,000 impressions around your store, and we're feeding ads to people's apps that they're opening to their phone and also to their computer. We've seen really great click-throughs and impressions on that. The other thing that we're doing for you, we have done a lot of location listening around your store where we've been able to pull like very specific neighborhoods. And then we own a lot of lists. So we have the IPs, and we're able to insert those IPs back into your social media ads and really customize your audience. And that's the same thing that you were talking about, and being able to really track. Oh, we take your own database and we can feed your database. We're feeding your database of your existing customers. So they're also getting your ads, which is really kind of cool. I think we've been able to grow your page significantly since we've taken over. The numbers, I think, have gone up quite a bit.
Now, when we get our new website up and running, I think we're going to see a lot of benefits of that. Because
Yes.
right now that our current provider is, early 2000s type web page where it's not as interactive as we'd like it to be or consumer friendly.
Right.
The new one we designed, and we designed it ourselves, is much more friendly to shopping and easier to search on things. So if you have a general term of what you're looking for, then we can find it for you. And because everybody from different parts of the country, especially, call a sofa different things. Some
Couch.
cocktail table, sofa table, and
Right.
there's all kinds of names. We try to make it as easy as possible for people to find and not get them frustrated.
Right. And your the new website's going to hopefully launch this week. What's your web address?
ncfdirect.com.
Okay. And I think we just bought the domain North Carolina furnituredirect.com. So I think we can do that. And we kind of done some workarounds for you as this website is being transitioned, where we've been doing some landing pages for different sales. So that's been a really nice workaround when we're directing people to your ads and also their geofencing, since we're not directing them right to your site right now, since you're in the middle of a refresh, which is kind of cool. Okay, so let's talk about I think we've covered some of this, but let's talk about what sets your showroom apart from the big box stores or the online options. And one of the things I really want you to touch on is your staff has been with you for years and years, and your delivery guys are your guys that are in your building. They're not somebody you're farming out. And tell us even about your repairs, because I found that really interesting, and just it's a lost service now.
Well, when we get a new customer that comes in the store, and if they're fairly new at shopping for furniture, we try to educate them as much as we can. Number one, what to look for. And so we have cutaways of chairs and recliners and even furniture to show them what dovetailing looks like. What a 8-way hen-tied spring system looks like. What boxing of a upholstered frame, what that does. Most stores do not show you. They don't want you to know what's underneath it because they use the old trust thing. Trust me, it's built well. Well, a lot of times it's not. That $399 sofa is basically just borrowing time. You're not going to get a sofa for $399 today. Generally, that's going to last more than a year. It's throwaway.
Right.
And so for a little bit more, you can buy something that's made a lot better, and it's going to give you that service you're looking for. But unfortunately, there's a lot of stores who use the marketing strategy. We're going to sell you one time. And so we're going to get as much out of you as we possibly can, then we're done with you. That's never been our philosophy. We have a ton of repeat business, and that's because we treat people right. And the other thing that happens in the furniture world that I wish more people would consider is that when you buy something, before you buy it, you got to ask yourself, okay, what kind of service department do you have? Do you broker that out? Do you do it internally? And if you do, what's my policy and what's your policy about helping me? We have our own service guys. We have our own shop. We have our own trucks that do that. And we make that experience well, because I say this kind of jokingly, but if something moves, it's eventually going to break. A recliner is eventually going to break, especially if your Uncle Joe comes over that weighs 500 pounds and sits in your favorite chair, he's going to hurt it.
Right.
Possibly.
Yes.
And so you need to have somebody that can make that adjustment and fix it. What happens today too much is retail stores broker that out, and they make it so difficult on you that you get frustrated and go away. And that's what they really want you to do, is go away. And so what we try to do is put them at ease and explain to them that, if you do have a problem, we're here to back it up. We're going to help you with it. We're not going to run away from you. But more importantly, we're selling goods that don't have those kind of issues, and that's more important. I tell my folks, look, if we want you to understand that if we see you in the grocery store a year from now, 2 years now, I don't want you swinging at me because your sofa fell to pieces.
Right.
There's a lot of other stores that can't say that. So I think that's one of the things that we try to really point out, is that we're carrying good stuff. It's not the cheapest stuff, but it's good stuff, and it'll last. You know, and nowadays people work too hard for the money to throw it away on
Right. And from all of the online stuff that delivers, when it's damaged, you're screwed, and then you can get it out of your house. And so,
Well, I have yeah, I have dudes go to the outlet mall and look at the online retailers. They have warehouses full of stuff that's been damaged and returned.
right.
You know, because it looks so cool to look, to go online and buy you a sofa and a luxury chair, but you got to remember it's got to get there. And UPS is not very good at delivering sofas. In fact, they don't do it. And so when it comes, a common carrier, they usually put it at your front door, and then it's up to you to put it in your house.
And then you got to put it together half the time.
Yeah. And then there's 58 pieces missing. So
Exactly.
it's not a good experience. And unfortunately, people still go through it because just look at all this. I got exactly what I wanted. And then when it's
They're sorely disappointed. And that's the great thing is you can come in your store and you can actually see the merchandise. And the back end of your store is as impressive as the front end.
we're trying to keep things clean.
Well, and it is, and it's just to be able to see the staff back there that are really caring deeply about people's furniture. And tell me about your delivery guys, because I think in this time that we live in, safety is a huge factor. So tell me about that.
My average tenure of my warehouse guys is over 20 years.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your family.
They work for me. They're like family to us. And so we take very good care of them. And we get tons of compliments on when they complete the delivery and the customers are just ecstatic.
Yeah.
And then our elderly customers, that don't have those strong arms and body to move something.
Right.
They'll ask us to move the sofa to the garage so their son or daughter or grandson can come pick it up. We do that. Instead of telling them no, insurance won't let us do it.
Right.
My guys are told, look, if it's an elderly person, let's take care of it and get it done.
Yeah.
Safely.
Yes. Which builds that trust and that repeat customer and also just goodwill. I love that. Okay, so let's see where we're at on this. Are there common mistakes that people, we've talked about some of them. We just talked about buying from the internet. Are there other common mistakes that people make when they're shopping for furniture that you see all the time and you're just like, they come to our store?
I think the most common mistake is when people are shopping just price. If they have a budget, it's good to have a budget. But if your budget is set too low or unreasonable, then you make compromises in your decision. And so sometimes it's better to wait if your budget's too low, is what we tell folks, or figure out a way to do it on a financing plan or a credit card or something so that you're not throwing that money away against something that's a temporary fix rather than a long-term fix.
Right.
The other thing I think happens is you need to ask questions and know who's lying to you and who's telling you the truth, because there's a lot of folks that will tell you anything you want to hear. And so one of our favorite things to do is we tell people to do the foot test. We tell them to go put their foot on the front of the sofa, and if you could lift it up with your foot, and likely of that having any wood in it is slim to none. And so and that's a joke we like to play on our friends around us. Yeah, that they know they've been shopping with us when somebody does that.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Let me ask you this. What would you tell a business owner who's hesitant to invest in marketing? Because you've been really consistent in your marketing.
I think one of the biggest problems with presidents and CEOs of firms is, it's hard to look outside your company and what could I do better?
Right.
And I think that's one of the most important things you need to ask yourself is, okay, are you happy where you are? Some people think they're happy where they are, but it's an evolving market right now, especially with the advancement in social media and all the tools that you have access to that most common people don't. And so you better have somebody who's educated in that field and knows what to do. And that's why I like what y'all are doing for me, is that's one more thing I don't have to worry about. I got plenty of stuff to worry about in the operations of my company, but the last thing I need to worry about is what my marketing people are doing.
Oh, absolutely. And I've seen this in the 33 years I've been doing business. Unfortunately, when times get hard, marketing is usually the first thing that has been cut, and when it really should be your last thing. It really should. I see that so frequently with people who are, they start strobe it's like, oh, cut marketing. It's like, well, then how are you going to tell people to, that what you have? So I think that's been really great because we've been in a little bit of an economy right now with interest rates, which I know probably affects, builders and developers, and it's going to trickle down to the furniture market as well.
Right.
But you've been pretty steadfast in keeping your marketing going, and I think you've been also staying on the cutting edge, knowing that you need to change with the times, which kudos for that, because we're old. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, right? I know.
When doing this in the furniture for 50 years is kind of a scary thought, because I'm 66. But there are a lot of fun things about what we do. And, I think one of the most important things for companies that have been around as long as we have is you've got to take a second look at yourself and what you're doing. And making sure that all of your tools are sharp that are in the toolbox. And marketing tools, your execution, your office staff, your warehouse and salespeople, all those people need to be sharp and running. It really helps when you have a third party looking at what you're doing and giving you suggestions, say, hey, y'all thought about this. That's what I like about your staff, is they're always throwing stuff at me. That, hey, Earl, what do you think about this or versus that? That's the kind of creative that's important to a growing business. You need that.
Right.
Yeah. Instead of just doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting different results.
Right.
I go.
Right. I love that. Has it been an enjoyable experience to work with the digital department back there? Because that's a lot of Gen Zers back there. That's that's a different group.
There's hardly anybody. I can't
60-year-old people.
Yeah. I don't have a problem. It's especially since they execute what I ask them to do.
Yes.
It's when you get ignored is when you get mad. And that has never happened.
I know.
But so far, so good. And my expectations for what we're going to do going forward are great. I think y'all have made my billboard look so good, with the images that are on it. The media that we're sending out is of high quality. And that's what I wasn't getting before.
Right.
Is it looked like, a high school student was doing it. Mm-hmm. Not that that's horrible, but it just didn't look professional the way I wanted it to appear. Y'all are doing a super job when it comes to making sure that our footprint conveys what we're trying to do.
Right. And Lee, consistently, what I've really liked about what we do with you is we take each month, and each month has a sell and a campaign, and then it carries all the way through from your traditional to your billboards. And we've done some, even not just your LED billboards, but we've done some of your traditional billboards.
Right.
And those have done really well. I think
that's a good part of the mix. Billboards on the interstate are constant reminders that you're in the market.
For sure.
That's the one thing I used to look at billboards for an identity to remind people where they take the exit. Billboards are not cheap either, though. And that's why a huge LED billboard in front of your store, I can run 20 furry messages on there, and at $3,000-$4,000 a piece, what it would cost you to have a billboard.
For sure. On Route 35.
More than pays for that LED sign.
Oh, absolutely. And you're looking at that $5,000-$6,000 a month just for a billboard in I-35, and you're just hitting them over and over again. Well, is there anything that we have not covered that you're like, we need to talk about this?
I think I was thinking to myself, if one of my peers in the furniture industry is watching this, what would be my suggestion to them as far as trying to find a better solution is to get sales going in the right direction. And that really, I think, has to do with, we all spend money marketing. Mm-hmm. It's where do you get the most bang for the buck? Mm-hmm. And I think in today's market, doing it the way you're doing it is by far yielding the best returns. Now, I would love to be able to get back on major market TV at some point, but I'm not sure I want to at the expense that it's at.
I think we've got a solution for you. After this is over, I'm going to talk to you about something.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Nowadays with streaming, just so you know, with streaming, are you a streamer?
We've done stream. Yes.
So it's like Amazon, Netflix, Hulu.
Well, I'm a huge Astros nut, so I'm watching Fubo.
Okay.
And Fubo has the sports network.
Nowadays, you can really drill down geographically.
Yes.
So you can
Very similar like you could with satellite TV.
absolutely, absolutely. And a lot of times the satellite, like the dish and the direct TV are part of what we can drill into. We recently, just to kind of give you an idea, we represented somebody running for judge in Bexar County, and they were a specific political party. We were able to buy that political party in Bexar County and serve them TV commercials very reasonable. So it's really cool what we can do now, even through streaming on radio, podcasts. Podcasts are a new market that I probably do podcasting now more than I actually do TV and radio. So I think that's another market that people, need to explore because
We did streaming before, and it was successful. The biggest problem I think my salespeople and myself had is that we never saw it. That's the hardest part for for the merchant to go, okay, here's a budget, and did it work, and where did it play?
that is always a hard thing. Even on your digital, we're running a lot of paid advertising for you. And so you just have to trust the process. If you're not following in, the specific area that we're targeting, or even the custom audience list that we're targeting, you may never see your ad, but you can see the results. So that
delivers bodies in the front door.
hey, yeah, as long as people are walking in that door, we don't care how you
all good.
for sure.
That's right.
Was there anything else that we can cover before we?
No, I think a year from now we'd probably sit down and go, okay, Earl, what are the things we did good, and what can we do better? I think that's probably a good mission to take.
I would love to do that, and I'm excited to see. I feel like this economy is getting ready to just explode, and I think from a furniture standpoint, it's gonna be great for you.
Me too.
Thank you for driving all the way from San Marcos to Bernie to hang out with us.
My pleasure. Enjoyed it.
I've totally enjoyed it. Thank you, Earl.
Thanks, Kathy.
You've been listening to a Digital Domino marketing podcast.